heavy, so it's probably
Well, no. Along with the study hall, also you can try to document community service.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at humiliation. But if you get the right person in the study hall, they'll give them a chance to do what they ain't doing when they're in class.
Suggesting that at least they don't do it. I mean, I'm just like, because I have
But Wayne called me today. There's another I talked to you about that. So they probably be coming to me. That's more of a hard of a battle, but I think it's still working. The philosophy behind what was shared with me, matter of fact, came up in church Sunday. They want to do this.
I haven't opened it. Yeah, I think it's probably just general stuff for the yeah, thank you.
Keep you safe, Mr. Riddle.
No, I hope so. I hope it's going to keep me safe.
No, that's not him downstairs. Sure, that's all. I can probably do it.
Yeah.
All right, it is 7:10. I'd like to call to order the October 12th, 2021 Waukegan Public School Board of Education meeting. If I can have a roll call.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Here.
Mr. Riddle?
Here.
Mr. McBride?
Here.
Ms. Callahan-Wozniak?
Here.
Ms. Leguizamo?
Present.
Mr. Ewing?
Here. The board previously met in closed session under exception C1, specific personnel, and C11, threatened or pending litigation. Now I'd like a motion to resume open session. Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle, so moved.
Motion. Thank you, Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Leguizamo. Roll call vote.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo?
Yes.
Ms. Callahan-Wozniak?
Yes.
Mr. Ewing?
Yes. And it looks like, can we scroll down on the agenda? I don't have my computer up. Okay, so it's supposed to be a permanent change that didn't take place. If we want to go back up, so I'm going to just briefly change the order. So I'm going to open up with the Pledge of Allegiance. I am going to ask that Ms. Tate, if you'd be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I will now be going out of order just to deliver my brief president's report. I want to first thank you all for attending this meeting, for those who are online as well as those who are in person. If you have not signed up, we do have a sign-up sheet in back for our public comment. I know not everyone comes to all our meetings, so I want to make sure that you understand the process and the procedures. Ms. Hannah sends her regards. She was not feeling well, and so she will not be in attendance this evening, but her thoughts are with District 60 as always, so I wanted to make sure that I recognize that. Over this past weekend, I had the opportunity to, over the past weekend, I had the opportunity to go to DC and attend a celebration with the superintendent who received this Heavy ILAS Award, which was the Champions of Equity Year Award for 2021 and 2022. ILAS is the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents. It's a national organization, and what it really goes to show is some of the proactive and progressive steps that District 60 took during the pandemic under the superintendent and the board's leadership in regards to making sure that our students were fed, that they had access to technology, that we made sure that we wanted to be there for all students, even during a very difficult time, and also our superintendent's efforts to help other superintendents who are navigating the same type of crisis. So I wanted to commend you again for the award, and congratulations, and thank you for all your efforts in District 60. I also just want to remind the board, and I won't do it during delegates report, that we do have a meeting tomorrow. So there is a bus that's being provided. You should have received a calendar invite for our IASB dinner. For those that can attend and plan on attending, know we brought a seat for all our board members. With that, I am going to continue down on the agenda. So we're going to go back. We have our special recognition and presentations. There are none. Approval of minutes. 7A, approval of the minutes of the open session meeting of July 28th, 2021.
Mr. Riddle, I so move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Wozniak. Any comments, questions, or changes to the minutes? All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Minutes are approved. We are now at our opportunity for public comment. So just a reminder, during public comment, this is your time to address the board. You have 3 minutes. If you need translation services will be provided to you, and you will get 6 minutes. We do ask that you refrain from mentioning student or staff names in your remarks, and generally keep them respectful. With that, the first name on the list is Julie Contreras. When you walk up to the microphone, please make sure you're speaking to the mic. And after you sit down, before the next speaker comes up, please allow time for it to be sanitized. So thank you. Ms. Contreras, you have your own? Okay.
Good evening, Superintendent, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the Waukegan School Board.
And I'm sorry. Can we start the clock and then you continue, Ms. Contreras? Go ahead.
I am the Pastora Julie Contreras, National President of United Giving Hope, a non-for-profit that serves humanity beyond borders. We are coming to the end of Hispanic Heritage Month, and I am very proud to say that our school district was bestowed this weekend with a great honor. On October the 9th, 2021, the National Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents did a national search and presented our very own superintendent, Teresa Plasencia, with the ALA's National Latina Champions of Equity Award. This is a great honor and inspiration for all the students of Waukegan, but especially for our young Latino students. Felicidades, Superintendent Plasencia, si se puede. I also want to thank Superintendent Plasencia, Mr. Moulton, and Mr. Alajakis, and special thanks to Principal Nicole Limberger for allowing the Chicago COVID Control Center to begin a testing site at North Elementary. We have vaccines available in our communities, and by providing effective testing that essentially will help slow the spread of the virus, helping identify those who have the virus and enabling treatment and/or isolation, testing in our community is crucial to learn more about how the virus spreads and how prevalent it remains in our community. We are all in this together. Thank you. Bendiciones.
All right. Next name on the list is David Casas.
Davina Casas.
Davina, I'm sorry.
My name is Davina Casas. We, as the Chicago COVID Control, a nonprofit organization, are here today to serve the community of Waukegan and Lake County as a whole. Our mission is to protect the community by coordinating and integrating all activities necessary to build and sustain to improve the capability to fight the virus. We would like to thank all the superintendent and administration for allowing us to commence our testing October 18th at the North Elementary. It has been a pleasure to be working with Ms. Nicole Lindberg to be the first testing site in the Waukegan Public School District. I would now like to present a short video so that you and the entire community can know who exactly Chicago COVID Control Center is. and how proud we are to begin to service the Waukegan community once again and to save lives together with Waukegan Public School District 60. Thank you.
Thank you.
Testing is the only way to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Chicago COVID Control has started an effective initiative to fight against COVID-19 through a hassle-free testing process from the comfort of your own home or office. Visit us at www.chicagocovidcontrol.org to receive your free rapid test kit. Your test kit will be delivered at no cost to you. Once delivered, follow the simple steps to complete the test. Your test results will be displayed within 10 minutes. Report result and receive your result certificate by email. We also specialize in safe and efficient on-site COVID testing for schools, businesses, and organizations. We offer on-site testing, drop-off, or delivery. We work with you to customize a testing plan to best suit your needs. Let's win this fight together. Get your free test today.
I have put together these, they're COVID kits for the community. So while getting tested, everybody in the community and schools will be receiving our PPE kits, which I have put on your guys' desks now. And if you guys like to open them and see what's inside of them, this is what we are giving to the community as a whole, to everybody, completely free. We want them to practice healthy and safe ways. So thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate the partnership. Next name on the list is Andy Freelip.
Hi, members of the board. My name is Andy Freelip, and I am president of Waukegan Teachers Union. I stand before you on behalf of all of the LCFT Waukegan councils to address some concerns that the employees and request your partnership in identifying solutions. These concerns have been brought to the attention of the administration, but we have yet to reach any resolutions. Last year, we as a WPS school community worked together to pivot to remote learning. This was a situation that was new to us all, but we were able to successfully keep our students engaged at that time. Now that we have returned to full in-person learning, the staff have some concerns relating to many different facets of our school community. To start, employees that have concerns with the timeliness and consistency regarding the sharing of information regarding COVID positive cases or students with symptoms reported in the classroom. Oftentimes, students are absent for COVID-related reasons, and staff are not made aware of this until after the student returns to school. In an effort to control potential exposure in the WPS 60 community, it is imperative that all people who are a close contact with someone who is COVID positive be made aware through contact tracing in a timely manner. Additionally, if a student is in quarantine, we must know so that we can continue to support that student academically. The union believes that the district-wide testing program would benefit the whole school community. We're happy that we have one at North, but we would like it to be at many other schools. The union has asked for a test to stay to be instituted since the beginning of the year, and would like to see this implemented. As educators, we are aware that the transition back to in-person learning has been difficult, and the implementation of COVID rules, mask wearing, and keeping social distance is difficult for our students. We have tried to allow age-appropriate transition time to learn the new school rules. We have been experiencing issues with mask compliance and students becoming verbally confrontational when directed to wear their masks. In many buildings, staffs are being hindered from enforcing the mask mandate, and the finding that the redirection is taking away from a positive school environment and need administrative assistance to comply with the statewide mandate. When reporting issues that with mask compliance have been told by one administration to not enforce it because it causes too much conflict. We're asking for your assistance in adopting a district-wide PBIS-focused mask compliance policy, and we need clearer protocols on how to address non-compliance. This school year, we have seen an increase in student tardiness to class. We are finding it disruptive to the learning environment. We are also concerned that students who are tardy are most likely to be unsupervised. The high school buildings in particular have experienced a dramatic spike in physical altercations that is causing great concern for staff and students. We need your support if we're going to keep our schools safe. The increase in fighting has placed tremendous stress on our working conditions and, more importantly, on our students' learning environment. We really need to review the current systems we have in place and must reevaluate why they are not working. We must adapt them to meet the needs of our students. And then at this point in time, Amy's going to come on.
Thank you, Mr. Freeland. Next name on my list is Amy Montalbano. Whenever you start talking, your time
Okay.
starts.
This is my first time. I'm Amy Montalbano. I'm the para-union president. And I'm just going to kind of continue. Currently at Brookside campus, there are 14 classes that have over 30% of diverse learner students. The state code says that the number of IEP students should be no more than 30%. The increase in co-taught classes district-wide has not been successful because there are not enough trainings in practice. Our classes need to be properly staffed and our teachers need proper time to prepare to ensure our students are being accommodated academically. Our resource personnel and interventionists need to be utilized in the appropriate way. Our paraprofessionals and clinicians need more support. Our security and safety staff need more training on physical and verbal de-escalation techniques. Our unions have brought these concerns to administration, but quite frankly cannot take. We are addressing it as an answer any longer. The solution to these concerns cannot be created in a vacuum. We need to work together and have some honest conversations about the systems currently in place at our schools and work together to address the needs of all our stakeholders. In closing, we are asking the board and the administration to revise the current system and provide all members of the WPS 60 community affected timely notification as it pertains to COVID-19 exposure and contact tracing. Provide a plan so staff can support student attendance in an effort to control tardies. Develop and implement an age-appropriate, multi-tiered systems of support and guidance for proper mask wearing. Staff are continuing to see administrative support in addressing student behavior that is being displayed around mask compliance. Due to the increase of physical fighting in many buildings, staff demands that the board address the physical altercations with a structured system of accountability and consequences for students who continue to engage in disruptive practices. For the board to be transparent as it pertains to the timeline for COVID-19 testing site being set up and running. For the board to consistently provide crisis prevention intervention classes, and for the board to provide training to all staff regarding student trauma and to adopt a therapeutic philosophy to support our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next name on the list, and I hate if is it Deanna or Dina, and that is Gonzalez.
Hi, I am Deanna Gonzalez. I work with the Chicago COVID Control. I first want to say thank you for having us here. We brought the kids to help provide a safe environment for not only you guys, but the students, teachers, and staff. As Chicago COVID Control, we want to provide safe and healthy work environments for staff and students. We need Chicago COVID Control to help provide kits and tests so everyone can go home safe to their families. As we go home every day after we work with students, you have family and friends that want to come visit you and they want to be safe. We provide kits and tests to everyone so they can go home safe with a negative result. We come and we bring tests so you can get two types of tests, which is a PCR test and which is a rapid test. So we're here to help make the environment and families safe. We have gone around and provided these kits to many nonprofit organizations, such as schools, churches. We even helped a family in Chicago that lost a family member, and we provided Pampers and so on and so forth with these kits as well. So as you guys have kits, everyone under your chair, you guys have kits as well to take home to your family and loved ones. Thank you.
Thank you. Next name on the list is Brother Blanks.
Brother Brother Blank's Black Abolition Movement for the Mind. I think you guys heard that I was, not only myself, the community was quite concerned that at the beginning of the year of school, that over 20 of our students, black and brown students, received out of school suspension. I'll give you a week. I'd say maybe 3 weeks. But in that first 3 weeks, over 20 of our students received out of school suspensions, black and brown students. What concerns me is I know that discipline has its place to maintain order and to maintain safety. But however, when our students, that many of our students go home, and those students go home with no schoolwork to make up while they're at home, we bypass, the district bypass in-school suspension, intervention, restorative justice, counseling, because to me that was an opportune time, as I said and I wrote, that as opposed to sending students home, it was an opportune time to implement some counseling, considering the students just came out of an extended pandemic, being at home. Here was an opportunity to find out what was going on at home, anger management, whatever the case may be. But this district cannot be sending our children home out of school suspension as a first resort. That's a problem. That should concern everybody. Particularly considering this district just spent $1.6 million for mentoring and counseling. That's a lot of money. And whoever you spend that kind of money with, they should have had their feet on the ground from the day the doors open to implement counseling and discipline. So that's really something that it can't be tolerated, not as a first resort. Like I said, discipline has its place for order and safety. At first it wasn't confirmed, but it has been confirmed that many of our students been suspended, out of school suspension in the first 3 weeks of school, and that's not to say how many have been suspended out of school since. Now, I asked you guys to get back with me earlier about, when you spent the $1.6 million, what kind of provision would be made if we go back to 100% virtual learning? How are you going to adjust $1.6 million of the taxpayers' money? Well, I never did get anything back or any word back. That's okay. You don't owe me no explanation. But I do know this district owes the explanation of every parent and citizen in this district how and why those kids were suspended without any type of explanations on that. Thank you. You do go ahead.
Thank you, Brother Blake. Next name on the list is Calvin Mathis.
Calvin Mathis, Black Abolition Movement for the Mind member. Since I've joined the Black Abolition Movement for the Mind, I had the privilege of sitting in on some difficult conversations concerning the District 60. It's an educational thing to me, I'm learning. But one situation that I have to mention, and we can discuss it later, because I always feel like there's two sides to every story. But the situation is, there were two girls that were fighting in a class. The security came in, two Latinos, security guards. The two young ladies who were fighting, one was black and one was white. Latino, excuse me. Black and Latino. Two Latino security guards come in, they take the black girl out. Take her out to class, lead a Latino student in. After school, there was another altercation between the same two girls, a fight. That's disturbing. That you can't imagine the damage you've done, if that actually happened, what the two security guards did. That's damage to all the students. And that needs to be addressed. Heard another difficult story as me and Brother Blanks were canvassing the neighborhood. We came across a young man that And I don't even know how we got in the conversation, but he mentioned that he was suspended. And he mentioned that it was an illegal suspension. Now, he said the word illegal suspension. How would he know about legal suspension? Except he's maybe thinking about SB 100, Senate Bill 100, which Brother Blanks alluded to. There should be some type of intervention before you just take the kid and just kick him out of school. And he also mentioned that he was being targeted. He felt like he was being harassed by a high-ranking official. Now, we don't want to call names, I get that. And I don't want to do that. As Brother Blanks mentioned, you guys have spent $1.6 million for this type thing, for intervention. You have the staff, you have the money. I don't know if they're trained. It sounds like to me people are not being trained how to intervene. Black Abolition Movement for the Mind, I see kids come through all the time. Brother Blanks has a good rapport with them. I just sit back and listen. I develop rapports with them. These are just kids. They have problems. They got troubles. They don't sit in front of the dinner table like we do, or some other. I don't even sit in front of the dinner table. Let me take that back. Never have. That's not happening. But I'm just saying people have difficult situations in there, especially for kids. We need to understand that, be trained. And I invite you guys to come down. Mr. McBride, I appreciate you stopping in and having that conversation. We welcome all you board members to come down and just have a conversation with us. And maybe we can help.
Thank you, Mr. Mathis. Next name on the list is Chester Chowski. Mr. Chester might be next door, so I'll give him a second to get across.
Yes, I see now.
Let's take a few moments of your time. We would like to know, when you have a reading specialist and whatever, why do you go out of town to get them? When you have retired reading specialists here in Waukegan and maybe Lake County. Just wondering why you have to go out of town to get them when we have them here. Another thing about going on trips, spending all kinds of money for professional development. I mean, how long does it take you to get developed? For the last 6 years, you guys are going up, spending all this money. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Chester. Next name I got a message, so I have and I'm sorry, someone who came in late, and that's Mr. Eck, who I want to make sure I get the opportunity. So, James Eck, are you here?
He may be next door.
Is he next door?
There he is.
All right, Mr. Eck.
I can't deal with this thing talking. So, good evening. I was here a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and I mentioned to you about my concerns about mandatory masks and also vaccine mandate. I do believe that is coming. The California governor has already stated that he wants to make it mandatory for students to have to get vaccinated to be able to attend in person in California. So I think it's just a matter of time. I have some real concerns about exposing all our children in District 60 to an experimental vaccine. According to the CDC website, looked it up today, as of October 4th, 1 week ago, there have been almost 8,400 deaths due to adverse reaction to the different vaccines. Almost 8,400, and that's probably low. I have some real issues by having any governor, any president, any elected official in politics telling people they have to get a mandatory vaccine. That is not what this country is about. We have freedom of choice. This vaccine is not even a vaccine. Vaccines prevent people from getting the disease and keep them from spreading it. That is not happening with any of these supposed vaccines on the market. The only vaccine that has been approved by the FDA without experimental authorization is called Comirnaty. That's not even available in the United States. I'm sorry, you guys, Waukegan School Board, you may be the last line of defense for the children of District 60 to not have to be exposed to a shot that has killed over 8,400 people minimum and injured tens of thousands of others. Please do your research on this. When the time comes, I hope and pray that you guys stand up for the children of District 60.
Thank you, Mr. Eck. Final name I have is Mr. Anthony McIntyre.
So I am Anthony McIntyre with the Ant Mound Foundation. What you guys have there and what I passed out to the audience is on the front you'll see a list of America's Most Wanted. That's what it looks like. And the second sheet you see there looks very similar to that, which is a list of, they call it a do or not admit list, which is over at Brookside campus. Looks eerily similar to America's Most Wanted. This is a sensitive subject for me. Why? Because to me, the thought of the school to prison pipeline is real. And I think that when you already have the schools looking very similar to prisons, they look that way. I've been there, I know what it looks like, and they're very similar to that. Now what I'm noticing is that you have these lists that are being compiled and you give it to safety officers and you tell these safety officers, these are the people I want you to pay attention to. To me, you're conditioning the safety officers to actually look at students as convicts. I have a problem with that. There has to be a better way for you guys to put this information out to the staff members to let them know that there are certain students that may have been suspended, expelled, whatever. There has to be a better way to get that information to the staff members. Because when the students walk by, you get to a point where you're desensitized to this stuff. It means nothing to you. And my hope is that whoever has the ability to instruct or tell those individuals over at Brookside campus that this isn't the way, I would very much appreciate it if you would do so. I don't come up here to make demands, but I want to echo something that Brother Blank said and that this gentleman said. There aren't just students that are 20 students that's been suspended. They have this classification that they can tell a student that you're under investigation and they're out of school, just simply under investigation, not a suspension, not a expulsion. You're under investigation. Days, no schoolwork will they receive. When they come back to school, there's a consequence to that. They come back to school and now they're behind. now that they're behind, they may have a problem with the fact that they seem to some people to be dumb. They get upset. They act up in class. It's a domino effect. Now that student gets suspended again. The suspension rises. You know what you're doing? You're increasing the roles of the gangs in the streets. Because when these kids are not in school, where do you think they're at? And you're sending them to my office because I have to deal with them now. I won't take up more of your time. I hope I made my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre. All right, if we can get the agenda back on the screen. Next up, we have our consent agenda. These items have been previously discussed and should be considered non-controversial. The two items that are showing up on this agenda, items A and B, I'm gonna ask that we hold those over.
What is that?
The same thing, looks like a duplicate, that there was an error. So under the consent agenda, I'm going to ask that we take items C and D, the approval to change order payment for Brookside paving improvements, and D, Yeoman Creek Solar Project Management Agreement.
I motion to approve those items C and D.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez, second by Ms. Leguizamo. Any comments or questions? Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak,
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo,
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
and President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. And then we have our, the other two items. I do apologize, I was reading too fast. Items A and B. So Deputy Superintendent of Academic Programs and Services Contract Amendment number 1. And item B, Deputy Superintendent of Operational Program Services Contract Amendment number 1. So these are two different items.
So moved. That would
Motion by
approve those.
Mr. Riddle,
Second.
second by Ms. Leguizamo. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak,
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo,
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item carries. Motion approved, item carries. We are now at item 10A, the Screencastify renewal.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the renewal of Screencastify for the purpose of allowing teachers to capture important moments online and lets one record record a video from their device to play back later and share, subject to revised terms previously agreed to by the parties, and the operator's submission of an approved SOPPA form if applicable.
Mr. Riddle, I so move that we approve the motion as read by the superintendent.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
second by Ms. Leguizamo. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak,
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo,
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes. Item approved, motion carries. We're now at item 11A for personnel for 10/12/2021.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments and accept the retirements and resignations as found on schedules F967, L914, and G625. And I think there's one correction in there.
Yeah.
Ms. Vanderbrook, do you want to state?
So we need a motion to approve holding over, which number I don't have.
The line item for the one that's going to be F967.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, F967.
Just the first name.
First line.
First line,
Yep.
schedule F967.
So the motion with the exception of the first administrative appointment listed in A1 on schedule F967.
So it's a motion to approve with the exception of the first line on schedule F967.
Mr. Riddle, I so move that we approve this as presented with the exception of the first line of F967.
I second Mr. Riddle's motion.
Motion, and we have a second. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak,
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo,
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes. Item approved, motion carries.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Beth Valida, who previously served as a teacher reading specialist in Chicago. She will now serve as the coordinator of English Language Arts, 6th to 12th grade, with a starting salary of $82,000. Welcome, Ms. Valida. If she's present, can you please stand up? Okay, thank you.
Awesome. All right, we welcome to D60. We are down at items 14A, which is financial reports, the ratification of the first processing of board bills for October 2021, manual check request payments, and First Midwest insurance payments for the period of September 22nd, 2021 through October 5th, 2021.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the first processing of board bills for September 2021 and manual check request payments and First Midwest insurance payments for the period of September 22nd, 2021 through October 5th, 2021. The accounts payable board September 22nd, 2021 through October 5th, 2021. Payments total $2,700,359.45. The manual check request payments for the period of September 22nd, 2021 through October 5th, 2021 total $1,431,882.54. The First Midwest insurance payments for the period of September 22nd, 2021 through October 5th, 2021 total $1,880,264.67.
Mr. Riddle, I so move that we accept this motion as presented by the superintendent.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Wozniak. Any comments or questions on the motion? All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion is approved. All right, we are at committee reports. So there is an update. I'm still making appointments. All the committees have not resumed, but I did want to just announce that Mr. Christensen is getting geared up with the PTAC, and the two board members that will be appointed to the PTAC are Ms. Leguizamo, who will continue on in that capacity, along with Ms. Gonzalez. Are there any other committee reports?
Great. I just wanted to add that the first meeting is set up on October 27th. That would be from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. It would be at the 742 West Greenwood Avenue, our Welcome Center. Anyone is welcome to come. If you need additional information, you can reach out to myself or Ms. Adriana Gonzalez as well.
Thank you, and appreciate your service. Item 15B is student board member report. We have our student board member who is here. So whenever you are ready, sir.
All right, okay. Good evening, everyone. So today, I actually wanted to discuss two things. This actually happened yesterday, or not yesterday, I think last week, Friday. So one is actually talking about the curriculum in high school. So it was just a casual conversation with my friends, and they actually mentioned AP micro and macroeconomics and just AP economics in general. It was just a question of, why don't we have it in our school? And this conversation actually led to our teacher getting involved, saying that, I think it's because, a lot of students take a lot of AP classes, and she even thought that there should even be a limit for students taking a lot of AP classes. Obviously, that is something that can be discussed, and and what I plan to do, and specifically with those 3 AP classes, or even just AP economics, is just send out a form to students, see what they think about it, and get their thoughts and opinions on having a limit on taking AP classes, or being able to talk with their counselors to figure out, if this is the appropriate choice for them taking more than 3. Because I know a lot of people have taken more than 3 AP classes, 4, even 5, and they were able to handle it, but I know that it does come with a lot of stress and work. So that's my goal for that, is to just gather data and present it in the next board meeting. The second thing I actually want to talk about is our middle schools. So currently I am creating a Google form for students in all the middle schools, asking them, what they would like to see be different throughout this school year, or even next school year in their middle school, or even in the community, whatever it may be, school related or student related. So I'm hoping to send out this form to the principals and vice principals by the end of this week, and hopefully get some responses, and again, present that at the next board meeting. But yeah, that's basically it. Thank you.
Thank you. Always super insightful, and the use of data and the approach to also addressing our middle school needs as well is why we are glad that you serve with us. So thank you, Mr. Usani. Delegates report I already mentioned. We have our IASB meeting tomorrow, and then we do, just a reminder to the board, next month we have our Triple I conference. As of right now, it is still scheduled to be slated in person, so look out for further information on that. Now we're at item D, Superintendent's report.
At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Alajakis to please come up to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. Excited to be presenting tonight. Pardon me, make some noise real quick. So this evening, we're going to be going over some of our COVID data like we've been doing the past couple weeks. And at the end, we do have a little data hub that we are excited to introduce. So we're going to quickly go through this, introduce everyone to our data hub so that you can find that information more readily. Thank you, Mr. White, for getting us started. Since August 12th, we're at 109 COVID cases district-wide, and you'll see the breakdown on the next couple slides. We still have the same, from 2 weeks ago, same schools that are under 10. If you go to the next slide, same amount of schools that have 10 or more. On the following slide, you'll see it's 88 students, 21 staff members total. And this next slide shows you how many students are marked for quarantine instruction on those given dates. I tried to pick, we don't have usually I try to give you Mondays. There was no Monday. The October 8th isn't finalized yet. That usually happens right around this time. Or, I'm sorry, the October 12th. So today's not finalized yet. So we're showing you Fridays just to kind of give you a little bit of a trend on how those are going. And so you see our students in quarantine instruction. You've seen some of our COVID rates have been slowing down. And that kind of matches what you see on the next slide, which shows the Waukegan COVID data. We've seen a fairly decent drop. Hopefully this continues since our last meeting 2 weeks ago. Our incident rate as of today, according to the Illinois Department of Public Health, for Waukegan is now at 14 per 100,000, and our 7-day positivity rate is at 2.22%. So I know we're getting this information every 2 weeks. Some of you might want it more often than every 2 weeks. So we're excited tonight to introduce it's our data hub. So what you're going to find on the data hub is information related to COVID cases in our schools, as well as information related to our quarantine instruction, how many students are in quarantine instruction. And if Mr. White wants to take us to the hub, what you'll see there is a little bit of an explainer of what the information is. How often it's updated, where the information comes from. So when you look at the COVID cases in the schools, those are based on the building impact reports that our contact tracers do. So when the contact tracers complete the investigation, they'll pass on the information to our office, who will then input them into the data hub that you see here. And so the data hub has information. Let me just get to the right page here. It's sorted by date, so every day it's updated, every 24 to 48 hours, Monday through Friday. And you could see how many cases are reported on that day, if there were any, which buildings there were, how many buildings or how many cases were at that building. Then in the, as you go further to the right, you'll see the total cases for the day. And then beginning in September 14th, when we kind of officially launched our quarantine support plan, that's when the quarantine code started for the students who were quarantined. You could see how many students district-wide were in quarantine instruction. And you could expect the, like the October 12th one to be updated tomorrow morning. We try to get to this every morning and then again at the end of the day, but the goal is really every 24 hours or so. And this information is available for anybody who wants to access it themselves. If you go to our website, you'll see on the homepage under safety, there's a pandemic preparedness tab. And underneath that pandemic preparedness tab is a COVID data in Waukegan schools. You click on that, again, it's updated live. Once it goes into our spreadsheet, it gets sent automatically to that page. Questions?
Ms. Wozniak.
Could you reverse the order of the dates to have the most recent date at the top and the older date at the bottom? Because by the time it gets to be March, you're gonna have to be scrolling through all of that.
That can be done.
Okay.
The page will probably it'll have to be paused for a little bit while we do that, but yeah,
Right.
that's
Whenever
something.
you can get to it,
That,
that's fine.
and I get the ease of why that would make sense.
Because you want to see today's dates
Yes.
and stuff. You don't want to see.
I see
you don't
why
have to
people would want to
scroll
see
through.
that, yes. And I guess I'm just,
And
you know,
can there-
staring at it all the time, and so.
And can there be a link instead of having to go to safety? No, it's under safety, and then no, could there be something we could click on?
We can talk to our temporary webmaster about maybe creating a link somewhere more readily available on the website. It's available one click right now. You hover over safety and you click on it, so you don't actually have to click into the safety.
Oh, you don't.
I don't know, Lee, if you don't mind going to the homepage so we can kind of show how that works.
Or maybe just calling it COVID tab or COVID hub instead of safety.
Oh, well, the safety tab handles
bunch of
there's a
things.
number of little things that kind of fall under safety. So if you hover over the safety, then you get to the pandemic preparedness section.
But like maybe having it as like a one-off.
So if you hover over safety, pandemic preparedness, and then you just go right down to the first,
COVID data.
yeah, right there, click on that, and it's going to take you directly to the, come on, don't let me down. It worked, look at that, so.
So the two takeaways are to reverse the order so that most
We can do
recent,
that.
and then if we can try and make it so that it's, neon flashing light.
Sure,
for
and it
people
will
to find.
put some neon flashing lights on it. That, to the best of my abilities, we'll see what we can do for you.
Thank you, Mr. Audrey. Go ahead. And I do apologize, but we, based on the format, this is not a committee meeting, so we do not take questions from the audience, so I do apologize about that, Mr. Eck. Go ahead, Ms.
I just had a comment.
Gonzalez.
I wanna thank Nick and his team for doing this because as we saw, there's teachers, there's people, the president of the teachers union was here, articulating some of the concerns that I know people in our buildings have. And when you think about how much time it takes for a person to actually take the test, wait for the response, and then craft the emails, send them out, make sure you're contacting everybody who needs to be contacted, that there was a positive COVID case. It takes time, and this is very, very scary for people, but at the same time, we know what the concerns are, and this is a way to mitigate some of the confusion around, who tested where, and is there an outbreak? So I really thank your team for taking this on and honestly doing this manually because it's another Excel sheet. I hate Excel, and the fact that this is something that we've prioritized and that you're putting out there is I hope the community sees that these are people who are taking steps every day to try to figure this out because we don't have this kind of infrastructure and a lot of other districts do. So I appreciate that.
Sure.
Yep, and that's it. I know they came from here. We said one of the things that we committed to very early on was trying to be as transparent as possible. I have two kids, Waukegan Public Schools, one of which has had to quarantine. Neither one was tested positive, and I'm fine sharing that. But it is always scary when you get those building notifications. And we want to make sure that all kids are being healthy, and we want to be transparent. So when we're talking about this website, which the board asked Mr. Alajakis in his office to take on, and we mirrored after the CPS website, is we want to share the data. We want to know where the data is so that we can help stop the spread. So this, again, is a commitment to transparency. I know this was one of the concerns, but we don't want to just keep kids or sick kids or ill kids at school. And I know, for example, is that sometimes it's how quickly the parents report or get tested, right? So if kids are out of school and not testing, it makes it hard to get up-to-date information. So I do think that the test to stay, right, may be an approach that we look at. Are there any other superintendent's reports? Ms. Alajakis or superintendent? No. All right, I know I said I was going to get a board president's report, but I wanted to share a story based on the comments. So this is a little bit personal, but I think it's appropriate, and it goes back to building trust. And so we heard from our teachers union president, and what I want to say about Mr. Freelip is what he and teachers like him have meant for my family and students of District 60. Mr. Freelip was a teacher, right, before he was the union president, and he was in the classroom, and he was a math teacher. He was a math teacher for my wife, who had his class, and she had a situation in which she had to not be at school for an extended period of time. Mr. Freelip was one of the teachers who made sure that he contacted her and her family because he was worried and noticed that she wasn't in class. He made sure to give attention and effort and concern for her development. And that is what I have known Waukegan Public School teachers to be and for them to do. And so as we go through this pandemic, I do want to make the commitment that I know that our teachers are committed to safety, not only for themselves, but for them students, and for giving 110%. And so I want to make sure that the board, along with the administration, has heard what was said at the podium. And we are, as you saw, one of the things which was in response to making sure that there is notification and early notification efforts. That is what we're trying to do and what we're building out. It is a very difficult and complex time. I know we all know it. We're all experiencing it. I just want to make sure that I always remind us that we all want the same thing, and at the end of the day, we are a team. And so I know that our unions have always been able to negotiate with us, and we will continue in that spirit. And so thank you all for coming tonight and speaking on behalf of your membership. And we did hear you, and the board shares some of those concerns, and I'm sure that the superintendent and team will continue to address those concerns, and they have been. And it may not be as quickly as we all want to. It wasn't in place day one. I can tell you it wasn't for lack of effort, but it is happening, it's continuing to happen, and it will need to continue to happen because, as we say, we are not post-pandemic, we're somewhere in the middle. And so we will be, unfortunately, with this thing for a long time. And I am glad that we have thoughtful partners at the table who are just as committed to students as those who sit around this table and sit in the admin offices are. The other thing that we heard was related to student supports, right? And so I do just want to remind is that the board did approve BAM and WOW, and we want those counseling services, but the board also was delayed in that approval is because we wanted to make sure that our questions and concerns that we had were addressed. And so we did not hire BAM as quickly as we wanted to, which delayed their hiring, because how am I going to hire if I don't actually have the contract? So BAM has the contract. They are being put in place, and what we want to assure with the superintendent and what we heard is that those services are being given to the students. And what I heard from teachers and those who spoke this evening is not that they don't understand suspension is never necessary, it's that suspension should be a last resort. And so we want to know what supports are currently in place in order to support our students in their behavior as they return to the building. The stance that 20 students shouldn't have been suspended, or however many students have been suspended, suspension as a last resort. Yes, there are some times where that may be needed, but we want to make sure that there are interventions in place prior to that. And the board is invested heavily in providing money and resources and funding in order to make sure that those things are placed. So we want to make sure that they are utilized. And so with that, that concludes my president's report. We're going to go into information items. There's the policy, attendance, and excuses. And then there was the FOIA report. So this was directly in response to community input and feedback. And so this is something that we want to continue. It's just a report. It's there for information. And it's visible through the link when we post the agenda. Just gives a status report on where we are. And I want to commend Ms. Vanderbroek and her office for putting the work in to make this happen on top of everything else that they are juggling, which is a lot.
Can I have a quick question?
Go ahead.
President? And this is for our legal counsel here in regards to policy 6010. Just a quick question in regards to the medical documentation where parents need to present some sort of physical documentation in the student's absence. And so currently it's 3 days that they would have to provide that documentation, and we're looking for a recommendation for 5 days. Now, is that legislated or is that discretionary?
So that is from the legislature as when you're dealing with mental health issues. The recommendation of the administration is we treat physical health issues the same way.
Okay, thank you for that. I just wanted clarification on that one.
I have a
Ms.
question about
Wozniak.
the FOIA report. In the open FOIA requests, you give us a gist of what they're asking for, but in the closed ones, you don't?
So this is the first report we've put out. And so some of this is a work in progress sometimes. And if you had, our intent is to do this on a monthly basis so that you could go back and look at the past month and get a lineup, but we may adjust that as well so that there is more continuity of carryover.
Thank you.
Okay. There's new business.
Mr. President, can I just ask legal as well a clarification on that, what Ms. Leguizamo asked? The 5 days of the notification, it seems like they struck out emotional conditions, and I know the legislature just approved students taking a mental health day. Are they going to
If it is, that wasn't intended.
What's that?
I said if it's stricken, it wasn't intended to be stricken.
And remember, this is a first reading, so board members, if you do catch typos, if you have any questions, if you want to see something changed, get it to Kathy by Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
That'll be back in for second reading. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
But that is what it's for.
Looks like it's scratched out.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really new business or old business that were presented. We have a lot of
I have
items that
some
are
new
going to be
business.
presented at student achievement related to some other things. But go ahead, Ms. Wozniak.
Or maybe it's a discussion for a future meeting.
Let's do that and let's capture it since we got time.
Okay. All right.
Ms. Donna-Jackus, can you capture the future discussion topics for future meetings, please?
So I've seen not a bazillion, 10 or so Safeway transportation service help wanted signs, on all over Waukegan.
Mm-hmm.
Are we having an issue in the district? Does Safeway have enough people to get our students to school?
Ms. Walton?
I mean, that can be, you can bring it at student achievement and next week, but I just want to know that we're, the kids are covered. What?
I know, I just looked at Deputy Moulton, I said yes.
Specifics on that at the committee meeting next week. At this point in time, we are hiring Safeway and Illinois Central. But we, at this point in time, we feel we're able to maintain the work requirements that we have to support our student population.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Mr. Deputy Moulton, I'm sorry, if you want to, for those who may be online and didn't hear you, I hate to make you walk all the way to the front, but.
Apologies. Good evening, members of the board, superintendent, staff, and community members. So yes, our transportation providers, Safeway and Illinois Central, are always hiring and looking for staff. As you all know, there is a nationwide shortage. Waukegan is not exempt to that. However, we have been able to maintain with the workload that we currently have in place. We are hiring, but at this point in time, it has not been relayed that we're not able to meet the demands of our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I have something under old business.
Go ahead, Ms. Wozniak.
In our Google Doc thing that we have, in March of 2020, before the pandemic really took off, there had been a fight during the basketball game. And I requested that we come up with some new solutions for safety during basketball and evening events. And I was at the football game on Friday, and there was a fight broke out in the stands. And I feel that we need to do a better job of patrolling the area, and this fight escalated very fast, and it was over somebody throwing candies in the peanut M&Ms at people's heads. It shouldn't have happened, shouldn't have escalated, and it should have been patrolled better during the game. And so I'm requesting us to look at better ways to service the community when they're attending these events, so that these things don't happen. It's very disturbing.
Mm-hmm. That's something that the PTAC can look into.
I've had, and this is old business, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've had some conversations, and I don't, really wanted to put it out there that much, but I have been asking and advocating for a vulnerability assessment in our schools. And I think that assessment will, take a look at those types of scenarios, as well as other pockets in our school buildings. And this would be from our high school down to our elementary level assessment. And it's a broad assessment. I have never seen one during my tenure here in the board, but also 2 years of that is pretty much COVID, right? So it is different, and we do now have a new director in that role. I think that he will probably like to do something like that. So Superintendent, I know I've been talking a little bit about that behind the doors, and just kind of bringing that a little bit more forward.
Thank you.
So one thing that we've been hearing from the community, or I'm going to bring up two things that we could potentially discuss for the next student achievement meeting. One of which we've heard from community members already. There's been incidents, very high profile incidents that have happened on school grounds. What are we doing about those students? I've inquired about it, and I know our administration has been hard at work doing all sorts of things inside and outside the buildings. But I feel like if we could have an update on how we're intervening and what our tiers are for our students at the next student achievement meeting, I think it would be a little bit more eye-opening for the community, because I don't want them to think that we're not intervening and that we're not trying to reach those kids. And then the second thing, and this, I know that we've been struggling to find people to fill positions, but to get an update on BAM and their hiring right now, because I very transparently, I was the one that held it over, and I was like, I don't want to give $1.6 million to an organization that I'm not quite familiar with, and whose work I'm not too familiar with, because I know that that's a serious investment. But I want them to succeed, because as we've heard, emotionally our kids are not okay, or some of our kids are not okay. And they need that kind of role model in their lives to talk about those things that they may be going through that are negative. So, if we can have the tier supports, an update on that, and what we've been doing about recent incidents, and also an update on their hiring at a student achievement meeting in the next couple months, I would appreciate that if there's board concurrence.
I think there definitely is. So we have those takeaways between student achievement and the next board meeting. Go ahead, Mr. McBride.
My concern is that the individuals with those yellow shirts on, security, they can only do so much. It's not just at basketball games. It could happen in the cafeteria. Shower mentioned throwing M&Ms. A straw could be thrown in the cafeteria and it's a fight. Now the question is, those individuals that's doing that, do they feel that accountability, something's going to happen to them when they do things like that? I think right now our students believe that they can do anything they want to do and ain't nothing going to happen to them. That is just my belief. And when I say I believe that that's true, there is no consequences. We have, I mean, just from my observation, if we got consequences, I'd like to know what they are. I know they passed the bill, SB 100, and SB 100 slowed down the consequences, but I still believe that where there's a will, there's a way, that our kids have dignity and humanity in themselves, and if we put the right resources in front of them, I think that'll slow them down. We keep talking about BAM, but I think our kids need more than BAM. That's just my opinion. And I'm saying that because of the fact that at one point I had that yellow shirt on too. And it was a lot different then than it is now. Today, there's really no value structure. There's no character ability put in our kids. It's almost like we just kind of letting them do whatever they want to do, when they want to do it, and how they want to do it. And as a result, they know that. And we're going to continue to keep having problems if we don't intervene. As a couple of guys at the podium said, we need to take some steps to do better than what we're doing. And I think we've been studying crime about what we can do with these boys. We study crime, but at the same time, and I keep saying, we're doing a lot of talking, but we're not putting a lot of things in place to make it happen for those that we know had these problems. And as a result of that, it was being said, when we suspend them, it's the devil's workshop. But what else, what are they going to do besides go to the street if you put them on the street? And then as a result, when you do bring them back, they done got a little worse because they done picked up some more information on the street but they didn't get into school. So anyway, again, I want to just blame it on security. Security is doing the best that they can. Fights happen everywhere, and they're going to continue to happen, especially at basketball games. I've been here in every basketball that I went to, even when I was doing security. We always had some conflict or some fights or something going on. And thank God that the little fights that we had didn't turn into something more serious than what it has been.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. All right, so are there any legal reports? No. And we're down at board member time. Start down at that end with Ms. Wozniak.
I have nothing prepared, I'm sorry. I did go to the Sweet Sounds,
yeah.
Sweet Sounds of Waukegan High School, the former Pasta and Pops, and it was different. I must admit that I liked the Pasta and Pops, the dinner atmosphere and the dining and here listening to the students, but this was a great event. They sounded wonderful. It was great to be in a live performance again and hear our students perform.
Just to piggyback off of that, it was great to see those masks.
Yes. Singing with the masks was interesting, to say the least.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Thank you, Board President. I do have 3 announcements, so just want to buckle you in a bit. Now, I just wanted to remind the community that next week, parent-teacher conferences will be Wednesday and Thursday. That will all be held virtual, so please reach out to your teacher to schedule your parent-teacher conference. Just that really quick reminder. Saturday, the school district is packed with events. Just wanted to let the community know in the morning, The school district will be partnering with the Community Action Partners, and will host an event at Whittier Elementary. They will discuss programs that can help subsidize gas bill, electric bill, or home winterization. So if you're interested, please stop on by to Whittier Elementary, and that is between 9 a.m. to 12 at noon. You want
Go
to
ahead.
add?
No,
Okay.
I forgot. You said 3.
The last one in which I'm really excited about, this is kind of my cup of tea here, but I'm really excited. The city of Waukegan will be hosting the Zombie Walk, and that's from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. So the school district will, the FACE department will be partnering with the Lake County Coroner's Department to host a STEM and zombie fusion called Zombiology program of fun activities. So please stop on by as you're out at Zombie Walk. They will be at 214 Washington Street between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. Once again, that is Zombiology. We will also be out there volunteering if you guys want to talk to us or see us out there. So those were my announcements. Thank you, Board President.
Thank you, Ms. Leguizamo. Mr. McBride?
Just to the Safety and Security Department, I don't just want to talk about what's not going right. At some point, I'd like to sit down with you, Daryl. I have some solutions and ideas as opposed to accountability. Because number one, I do know that if you let anybody, any human being, keep doing the same thing over and over, and they feel that there's no accountability, they just get worse instead of better. But I have some suggestions and ideas along with what I see that's going on that I just like to sit down and share with you, because I believe that if you don't do something, ain't nothing going to change. And I just hiring staff, yellow shirts all over the place. I don't think that's part of the solution, but I think you need a little bit more than just that. So at some point, I'd like to just maybe share some of my ideas and what I think that would deal with some of the creatures of habit, so to speak, that you have to deal with, because all kids ain't bad, that you do have some that are operate off of a kid that maybe some people around them don't understand, but they are good kids too. So at some point, I'd like to share with you my thoughts of what I think that would help you and your staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Mr. Riddle?
Yes, I'd just like to thank everyone for everything that they're doing in our district. Just remember where we were a year, back. Everybody was in lockdown. We are making progress. We are glad to be seeing each other face to face. There's still a lot to be done as we emerge from this pandemic, and it's not going to go away quick. Everyone around the world is still trying to find their way through this. There is, as Ms. Wozniak and Ms. Leguizamo said, there's so much good happening in our district. The Sweet Sounds was just a joy to be there, see kids performing with their masks, our choirs, our bands. It was different, but we're finding a way through it, and it was just a great joy to be there. One of my own grandson who's in school, I just asked him today, what do you have to say to the meeting tonight? What should I say? And he said, Dad, Grandpa, I'm just glad I'm back in school. He's happy to be in school. So with all the issues that we have, we're doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing, and we're just going to continue to do it. We've got a great, talented staff here in Waukegan, teachers who love these kids and want to see them get back. So I just got to, with all the issues we've got going, we just want to encourage our kids, our parents to continue and enjoy this period. We will get through it, and we'll be stronger for it. So thank you very much for attendance tonight. Thank you for being here, and everybody that has lended their hand to make sure that we're doing this successfully. Thank you so much.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Okay. I'm gonna structure my board member time in 2 halves so that I remember to do this. I'm gonna say what I take away from the meeting, and then things to look forward to, like Lucy has often done. So what I'm taking away from this meeting and what we've heard from the community is, I think with PTAC, we have to look at our disciplinary policy, look at mask policies in our schools and take that on for the future. That's my homework. I think that's the board's homework. And one thing that I feel very called to do, knowing that I'm not too far off from the kids within our schools, is to be more present in the community. This past couple weeks, I've visited a couple schools already. I'm gonna be at Clark on Friday. I'm gonna be at Zombie Walk on Saturday. I've gone to community events these last couple weeks. The Black Parent Network, which a lot of community members advocated for, an equity committee meeting that our Director of Equity and Inclusion, Taja Fields, had also hosted. We often forget how much power we have in our community just being present and talking with people in our community and hearing the kids themselves speak about these issues. And Brandon has been very vocal about that, and I feel like it's also something that keeps me sane. It keeps me whole. It gives me hope. So if your niece, nephew, if your little cousins, or your kids have trouble, they can also reach out to me. I keep in touch with a lot of my friends who are alumni of the schools. I have many family members who have already gone through Waukegan Public Schools. I was today helping someone with their resume during my lunch hour. I want them to feel like they can approach us and ask us those questions if they feel like they don't have anybody else that they can confide in. And I hope that we all become that community member as time goes on. And that's pretty much it.
And this is what I'm proud of, is to serve with individuals, because I remind folks all the time that we get paid absolutely nothing to do it. We're proud to serve. We all ran to serve, and that is why we're here. So I don't need your sympathy, but it is a very hard time to be a board member in this nation. So much so that the President of the United States has had to acknowledge the impact that this role is having on individuals who have families, who have jobs, who have other commitments and other interests, but care passionately about the students. And what you hear and what I know about each person on this board is not only are they doing this, they're involved in other things, be it foundations through the parks, be it helping at downtown Main Street, be it volunteering in our schools, talking to our community, going to church. So in addition to this, in addition to the important work that this is, they still are committed to helping our community overall. And so I'm excited to announce that, I'm just excited to announce that there will be, for the first time in at least 4 years, an intergovernmental committee, which is being started by the mayor, which will bring all of our township, school board, city, park district entities together in order to take a collaborative approach to addressing some of our systemic issues. You hear me say it all the time. What happens in the school impacts the community. What happens in the community impacts the schools. If we're not talking, if we're not working together, if we are not on the same page, we're going to continue to have the same, for lack of a better term, chaos. And I don't want another email from a community member. I love them, but I don't want another email from a community member talking about dismissal and the fights. Right? There has to be something that we take a collaborative approach about in order to address and work on together. And so I'm excited to see that happen. So thank each and every single one of you who I sit on this board with, and thank you to the community. Congratulations again to the superintendent, and we will continue doing everything that we can for the students of District 60. With that, I'd like a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's do Sonny. Do you have anything else to add during the board member time? Okay, he said no. You ready to go?
I just want to say thank you again, for giving me this platform to, speak on things, because I know that a student's perspective is definitely very important to adults, because especially this generation and in this time of age, especially after a pandemic, I think, having my perspective and having other students' perspectives come through me, go through me to all of you, I think that's very, very important, and I'm glad that this is a position in Waukegan High School. So I do thank you guys for, having this position and keep on, allowing this position to go on for future years. And then one last thing that actually just came to my mind, for those that are watching, if that are parents of high schoolers, yearbooks are actually now available, so tell your kids to check their emails. It is very limited. I think there's only 400, and we have a lot of students, so 400 is not going to go to every single student. So check their emails if they would like to get one.
Yeah, and I do. Sometimes government moves really, really slow, but I want to commend Mr. Alajakis in that suggestion was implemented right away. And now if you go to the website, it is from the most recent date to the oldest. So thank you for jumping on that, Mr. Alajakis. And he also did reiterate that the actual last time that there was an intergovernmental group was 2013. So, yeah, so we are glad to see it back in District 60 and hope that it will take a community approach to solve all the needs and things that are impacting our community. With that, like a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. McBride.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wozniak. All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Meeting is adjourned.